E3 2021 is done, finished, and in the books. And so I'm going to go through all of the reveals from the show, literally every single reveal from the shows. The only shows I won't be covering are Devolver Digital, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, Capcom, and Bandai Namco, because I didn't watch those shows. But every other show I will be covering. And E3 this year started on the Thursday with Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. And it started right off announcing that we are getting Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is Tiny Tina from the Borderlands franchise is getting her own spin-off game. And some of the gameplay we got actually looked pretty good. It actually looked really quite good. I quite enjoyed it. It is slated for an early 2022 release. We then got the reveal that Metal Slug Tactics is apparently still a thing, because a new Metal Slug Tactics game is coming soon. There was no set release date for it, but it's coming soon. We then moved on to Hideo Kojima, who, oh God save us, everybody when they saw Hideo Kojima was very concerned, but Hideo Kojima had the following to announce. He had to announce that he's working on new content for games, but he also revealed that the Death Stranding Director's Cut will be coming to PlayStation 5. I can't also quite remember what was said, but him and Jeff had a about 5-minute conversation about how Hideo Kojima's found the last year and trying to work and develop games through this whole global pandemic, which is actually quite a nice little talk. I will leave that link in the description down below. Then, if you can believe it, we got the reveal of a brand new game from Frontier. Frontier decided to spring Jurassic World Evolution 2 on us. The trailer didn't show much, didn't get much from it, I just seen some dinosaurs walking. But Jurassic World Evolution 2 is coming this year to Xbox, PlayStation, PC and Switch right off the bat. It's not like PC first and then later releases for us, it's coming everywhere first. Then we got the reveal of a game that I forgot was happening, to be honest. It was a reveal of Lost Ark. It is a Diablo, what I could only describe it was a Diablo-esque game which launches in fall 2021. But for people like me who live in the UK, that is autumn 2021. And if you're not aware who's making this, it's Amazon Games, which I didn't even know Amazon had a games company, to be honest. So that's news to me. But there you go. We then kind of went into quite a long Call of Duty section. We got the announcement that Call of Duty Warzone Season 4 is coming on at some point. It was coming at some point. I'm not 100% sure when, but it said it was coming at some point in June. Then also announced it in June. In June there was going to be, I can't remember what they called it, but it's essentially the Fortnite World Cup for Call of Duty Warzone. We were then given an Among Us roadmap, which featured the fact that on June, I think it was 25th, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but I think it was June 25th, they're adding new colours, a graphics update, and 15 player support. They also announced that achievements are coming. There was a new mode called Hide and Seek. There's going to be 2 new roles called the Detective and the... oh god, what was it? It was the Sheriff and something else. There was the Sheriff and something else. There is visor cosmetics. And there is also a new map. Although the only screenshot we got of the new map was one tiny asset that was so small that you couldn't see it. And directly below that it said, "We legally won't show anything bigger than that." We were then given a trailer for Salt and Sacrifice, the 2D action platformer. It looked really good. We didn't get much about it. There was no release date. There wasn't real gameplay. It was just kind of there, but it looked really good. Solar Ash then, well, I don't know what it did. It was a weird thing. There was lots of weird, but it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We then moved on to a Valorant teaser that I can't even really talk about because it was so short that if you fucking blinked, then you fucking missed it. It was so short that literally you could blink and you could be like, "Wait, what? I thought Jeff Keighley just said there was a Valorant teaser coming. Where'd it go? What happened? What? Did I miss it?" That's how short it was. We were then given some news. Escape from Tarkov is getting a new DLC. I've never actually played the game, but yeah, it's getting some new DLC if you played it. They then announced that the studio behind 2 Point Hospital, and some of those people too as well also worked on Theme Hospital, that studio, 2 Point Studios, announced 2 Point Campus, which is basically the same as 2 Point Hospital, but instead of building a hospital, you're building a university. We were then given a trailer for Ryan Reynolds' new movie, Free Guy. And to do that, Jeff Keighley welcomed Ryan Reynolds, the sole greatest human ever. And I really loved it. Ryan Reynolds first came out and he was like, "I'm not here to announce I'm the main star of Elden Ring." And was then like, "Wait, am I here to announce I'm the main star of Elden Ring?" And we then got a trailer for Free Guy, which releases on August something. It releases in August. It is Ryan Reynolds' video game movie, all about a guy called Blue Shirt Guy. The trailer featured off the likes of Ninja, Laserbeam, Pokimane, Jacksepticeye and Dan TDM. They're all going to be in the movie in some capacity. We then came back and got the Stranger Things announcement. The Stranger Things is coming to Smite. I've never played Smite in years, but if you're into Stranger Things, then that is coming to Smite on July 13th. And it will be part of the Battle Pass crossover. Saber Interactive then came up and announced a game called Painkiller. And it's a game, weirdly, where people can fly, which is odd. It's interesting. The only things we really got was they were flying humans. The Anchorus was next, and it is a first-person shooter from the former developers of Valve and Riot. These are developers that have left both Valve and Riot, made their own little studio, and it is offering, it's a new game from them, and it's offering 4-player co-op. We didn't get much else about it. It's going to be a multiplayer game, and it will be available on PC, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and it will also be available on the Game Pass, complete with cross-play support, and it will be out this autumn. We then got the announcement that to celebrate Fast and Furious 9 coming out, the Fast and Furious cars will be returning to Rocket League with the addition of one brand new car, which looked like it had rockets strapped to the back of it, which was kind of interesting. That will all be happening on June 17th. Blood Hunt was then shown. It can only be described as a new battle royale, but with vampires, like a vampire battle royale, which is interesting. House of Ashes came up next. It is the third picture in the third entry in the Dark Pictures anthology, and we got a new trailer for that. It was definitely showing some interesting stuff. We also got the release date of October 22nd this year. Sky, the Little Prince season was then flung at us. And we'll be heading to Nintendo Switch on June 29th, and we're followed by the adorable Leapret season shortly after on July 6th. I didn't really get much from this game from the trailer, but it looked gorgeous. It looked really, really gorgeous. We then got some stuff I couldn't give a flying fuck about. There was lots of Overwatch 2 stuff. I don't care. I literally couldn't care. I cared so much about the Overwatch 2 content that when I was streaming reactions on Twitch, I genuinely went to go make coffee during the Overwatch 2 announcements. That's how much I cared. We then got Monster Hunter Stories 2. Wings of Ruin, which looks really, really, really good. There was no release date given for it, but it looked really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a good show. We then got the announcement of a weird one for me, actually. The Naya skin is coming to Fall Guys, which is odd because Naya is like not kind of something you'd appropriatise as appropriate for children, but there you go. We then got the announcement of a brand new games company called Deviation Games. And that is formed up of the former Treyarch developers Dave Anthony and Jason Blundell. They have started working on a brand new game, and they also announced that they have partnered up with PlayStation to make a PlayStation 5 exclusive. So based on the fact they partnered up with PlayStation, expect all Deviation games to be PlayStation exclusive going forward. Total Rock Studios then showed off loads of Back 4 Blood content. And I say loads, a lot of it was just shooting zombies in the face for about a good 10 minutes of content. They did also announce that it's set to release on October 12th, 2021, and the open beta will be available on Steam to try out for everyone on August 5th if you pre-order the game before August 5th. We were then given Trials of Midgard, which I can't really remember. It was a thing that happened, but I can't really remember much about it. And finally, we got the announcement of something that made Jeff Keighley very, very, very excited. Very excited. And me very excited as well. That was the announcement that Elden Ring is official. It is happening. And it is releasing on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC on the 21st of January 2022. They showed off a pretty decent chunk of gameplay, like 5-minute trailer, and it was really, really good. Elden Ring was amazing. I think overall, I'd probably give the Summer Games Fest about a 6.5 out of 10. Just because they gave me some stuff I'd want, like Elden Ring, 2 Point Campus, Jurassic World Evolution 2, and the Tiny Tina Wonderlands looked pretty good. It was a pretty good show. I enjoyed that one. Next up on the E3 list was Wholesome Games. And they spent an hour revealing 75 games. I'm not kidding. They genuinely revealed 75 games. I also can't quite remember what order they came in, so I'm just going to kind of go through them in any order. we got a little to the left. That is literally a game about reorganising things and centering things. It's basically like an organising game. Like you have to organise things into a certain order. So it's like, oh no, this painting's slightly like wonky. I have to fix the painting and make the painting face the right sort of way up. We then got letters. It is a pen and power puzzle platforming game through the messages you send, which sounds really, really cool. The next one was In Behind the Frame, which basically you are going through a puzzle whilst riding on an artist brush. We got Hoa, which is a really cute side-scrolling platformer that has a release date of August 21st. And I found it really, really cute, and I wanted to absolutely play it immediately when it comes out. We then got Kiwi. It's a co-op puzzle platforming game about kiwi birds running a post office, which is coming out on August 31st. The Geico Gods was next. It is a 3D puzzle game where you're a handsome lizard, explore sort of ruins you will later almost certainly fucking destroy by a PlayStation exclusive protagonist. Which just sounds so weird, so stupid, but so funny. We then got Unpacking. There was no set release date for Unpacking, but it was just beautiful. It's basically just a game where all you do is unpack boxes, which is really, really, really interesting. We were then given Cloud Jumper, which is a puzzle game where you're jumping between clouds. Then they piqued my interest just a little bit with a Lego Builder's Journey. We didn't get much about this, but it's a puzzle game featuring Lego, but also building with Lego. Clawfish, where basically this was also a puzzle game, but you're hanging out at a lonely train station that has a fishing arcade, and you just have to reel them in. We were then given In Toadie and Topi. That is a 2D platforming game in a top-down view. And basically, do you know that I can't remember what it was called, but that if you played the game, you'll know that sort of, or even watch YouTube shows, you might know. But that sort of thing in Skylanders Swap Force, where you had to bring Spark and Bolt together, like those little mini games where you had to bring Spark and Bolt together in Skylanders Swap Force. It's basically like that, but you bring two things together, and that's what the game is. You like levels and stuff. We were then given a game called Freshly Frosted, which is letting you run a donut factory. That's literally what it is. You run a donut factory, which sounds interesting. We were then given a game called Fossil Corner. And the point behind Fossil Corner is you have to collect fossils and solve puzzles in an old garage. Robco came up next, and it was a sandbox game where you had to design and build robots to help humans perform everyday tasks. So it could be like, I don't know, make a robot that makes tea, which sounds really, really good and really, really cool. Fire Tonight was up next. We didn't get much. We just got the two main characters that also weren't named putting out a fire, but it is coming out on August 12th. Voodoo was up next, and it's a beautiful puzzle game about fitting wooden toy blocks into place. which just looked really, really wholesome. We then got Snacko. And Snacko basically plotted you a sweet little town full of 2D cat sprites. And you had to start your life in there. It's basically Stardew Valley, but everybody's a cat and there's no farming. Coca Atopius was next. It is a life simulation RPG about forging a new home after crash landing on a really nice looking 3D planet. Ooblets then got the port forward update. We then got an announcement of Hot Pot for One, which is another cooking sim. There wasn't much to go on, it just sort of showed you putting a lot of stuff in a pot. The one question I've got about that is it going to be like cooking sim, where the physics are completely all over the place, and you try to put something in the pot and it just like goes, nope, fuck you, I'm going over there now, into the kitchen because physics, and you can't stop me. We were then given a good old 10-minute trailer for Paralives, showing off some of the building in Paralives. I'm not going to go over the entire building process, but some of the things they did within that game was curved walls. The Sims 4 could never do curved walls. They also showed off the fact that you can take a single bed and drag it out and make it a double bed. You can make double beds into single beds. You can take the windows, drag them around and make them any size you want. You can drag paintings up and down the walls to get the specific height of a painting. So if you're like saying to yourself, I want the painting, but I don't want a border around the painting, I just want the painting in the frame, you can drag the painting to get rid of the frame around the border, which is a really nice touch. But if you're maybe thinking to yourself, I want a border, so you can drag it to have borders, and you can drag the couches out, make the couches different sizes. The couches are lined together, and you can actually put like a couch next to another couch, and then if you want to, on that couch, you can select to delete the armrest. So if you want to make like a big long couch but delete the armrest, you can delete the armrests on a couch. And it's not like the new Sims 4 expansion where it's like some couches have it. This is every couch in the game. Paralives genuinely looks really, really good. I don't know about the whole life simulation part yet. We haven't seen much of that. But their building so far looks like the best building I have ever seen in any sort of simulation game. Like just the fact that you can make a window whatever size you want, paintings whatever size you want, beds simultaneously from single to double, and just delete armrests or whatnot on chairs and stuff. We then got the announcement of Passport 2. Or I can't pronounce that. It is Passport 2. I couldn't pronounce that for a second. And you are basically a starving artist. And you are there to purely just create terrible paintings. Up next was Sally, which is a life simulation game set on a big airship. That was basically Sims, but airship edition. We were then also given another cooking game because one wasn't enough. We got Soup Pot, which is described as a creative cooking game where you can create freely using local ingredients. We then got Monglo Bay. It's basically a fishing game. That's literally, it's a fishing game. And then because there wasn't enough fishing games on here, we then got Luna's Fishing Garden. It's another fishing game. although from what I got from the Wholesome Direct, the difference between this one and Moglo Bay was this one's got fish trading in it, whereas the other one didn't seem to have that in it. We were then given Amber Island. And what we were given with Amber Island is a thing where you make up your home in a cute village that needs improvement, but the twist is all the other inhabitants are dinosaurs. You're going there as like a human, but you end up moving to a dinosaur village. They showed off Power Wash Simulator, which is now available on Steam. It's been out for a while, but they kind of just showed it off. Which, if you've never seen Power Wash Simulator, it's basically just a video, just a game where you just power wash things. I've played a bit of it, and I find it very, very wholesome. You are then given the Garden Path, which is a life sim about the small pleasures of gardening. Which sounds really cool. We were then given a game called Lone Farm. It is a 3D first-person Stardew Valley, is the only way I could describe it. It's basically farming, but like you're farming, and you kind of come across an abandoned farm, but it's in 3D, so it's like Stardew Valley, but in 3D. Then there was the Co-Open, which I can't remember much about. I genuinely can't remember much about it, but they announced something called Co-Open. We then got Loadenen, where you basically just go around and clean up pollution in the sea. That is the entire game. You are just cleaning up pollution in the sea. We then got announcements of Poke. I think that's how you pronounce that. And the point behind Poke is you are running a tea house where you sell tea to cats. Which is something. We then got Yokai Inn, which is a game about running an inn for spirits. We then got Bear and Breakfast, where you build and run a forest bed and breakfast, but you're a bear. That's literally what it is. And I genuinely was incredibly mad when they didn't give me a release date for Bear and Breakfast. We were then given Cat Cafe Manager, which is a game about you running a cafe, but you're a cat. We were then given a Game Director's Story. And it is a very interesting take on running development on a big budget AAA game, which is interesting. It's like Game Dev Tycoon essentially, but you're making exclusively AAA games. We were then given Bird Problems. It's some kind of story about driven bird-themed sitcom, from what I could gather. And I did notice at one point the birds were kind of singing the words to Carly Rae Jepsen's Bird Problems by going, like whistling it. We've got a trailer and release date for Lake. Lake arrives on September 1st. And it's a game where you run away from a high pressure city job to be a postie in your hometown. Like, basically, the entire game is you just drive about a little sort of lakeside town delivering the post. Which sounds really, really cool. And there is a demo that's actually out right now on Xbox. And I believe it comes to Steam, I think, at some point. But that sounds really, really cool. Like it's just delivering post. It sounds really cool. We then got Please Be Happy, which is a visual novel about friendship and love. That just sounds nice, doesn't it? A game about friendship and love, together at last. Teacup was about a little frog that's having a tea party. And she needs ingredients for it. You've got to help her find the ingredients that she needs for her tea party. We were then given Venaba. That was another cooking game. It was a 2D cooking game about an Indian mum and a family who emigrate to Canada in the 80s. Where you cook undercover recipes. We were then given the magnificent Truffle Pigs, which is a game, from what I could discover from the trailer, about friendship and self-discovery farming. We were then given Princess Farmer. This is basically a visual novel meets Candy Crush. You're a magical bunny farmer, and you're like a bunny that runs a farm. I'm not entirely sure where the name came from, to be honest, because it's called the Princess Farmer, but you're a bunny running a farm. So as to where the princess stuff comes in, I will never know. But you're basically a princess running a farm. But I don't know, I don't know where the princess bit comes in, because you're a thing. We were then given Season 3, which is basically a game about wandering around and changing seasons, from what I could gather, most likely. Recolt was a game where you use ring light items to get into darker places and help out the town. Here Comes Nico was up next. It is a 3D adventure platformer full of animals saying heck, aimed at tired people. Which genuinely sounds really, really interesting. Mythic Ocean was up next, and that was a game where the trailer basically said that you explore every ocean. I don't know how true that is, but apparently you just explore every single ocean. The sea is also full of gods and monsters. We were then given Button City, which we didn't get much about. It's basically a arcade sort of game. It's like an arcade thing about building arcades, but there is a big underlying threat going on of capitalism, and you've got to deal with that. We were then given Garden City, where you restore a town by battling the evasive rot. We were then given Skate Bird, which is releasing on August 12th, which is basically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but instead of Tony Hawk's, it's a bird. Tracks of Thought was up next, which basically what I could describe is it's a card game, and you play as an asshole ladybird on a train, ready to confront other passengers. That's what the trailer gave me anyway. Battle Cakes was up next, and it is a turn-based RPG where your squad is a group of different flavoured cupcakes, which is strange. Up next was Rainbow Billy, The Curse of Levitation, where the world has gone black and white and you need to recolour it with the power of kindness, which sounds quite nice actually. We were then given Tomodachi Behind the twilight, you explore a strange empty town while looking for parts to repair your airship. We were then given Frog Song, which we didn't get much about. All we really know is you're a frog and it's an RPG game. We were then given Book of Travels. It's an exploration game about a mysterious world where you're an almost lone traveller. I'm not entirely sure what it means by almost lone traveller. Like, are you travelling with a small rat? Or a small snake or something? I don't know. You're then given the Outbound Ghost. And you basically, as a ghost, the entire game is as a ghost, you're trying to figure out how you died. And come to terms with the fact of that. You then got Dreamland Confectionery. And it is a puzzle game. It is a puzzle and baking game that is sadly not scheduled to release until 2023. We're then given Creature Kind. It is a card battler game where you kill your opponents with kindness. We're then given Floppy Nights, which is a game where you play as a floppy disk, and it is a strategy-based battle game featuring floppy disks. We were then given Acleon, which is a first-person 3D photography game where you snap shots of big flying axolots and extremely spherical pigs. We're then given Beasts of Morava Island, which is in third person, and you're on a semi-magical island. And you're going to be learning about the behaviours of animal in the Sir David Attenborough way. It's basically a game where you've gone to a mysterious island and you're David Attenborough. That's literally, it's like a David Attenborough simulator, that game, really. We were then given Dorgon, if that's how you pronounce that, I'm not sure. It is a game about taking photos of summers spent with your grandmother. You were then given Paparazzi, which is a photography game about taking pictures of dogs. Literally, that's it, just taking pictures of dogs. You were then given Shigo, which is a game about, it aims to help teach you Japanese as you capture images of new things. It's basically a photography game where you take pictures of things, but you also learn Japanese at the same time. We were then given Spirit Swap, which is a match-free puzzle game featuring witches. Witch Life Story was next, and it's part of being a local village and making neat potions. And it's all part of a visual novel about finding a place in the community. Witcher Academy was next, and it is you start off as a witch, is a basically what I would describe as a witch student sim, where you learn to cast spells and brew potions. We got Witchy Wood up next, which is a puzzle game where you play a proper weirdo witch of the woods, collect ingredients and talking to a black goat. And that was everything that they had to show. 75 games. My only real complaint to this show was that Bear and Breakfast did not get a release date, but Paralives genuinely looked like the most incredible thing ever. So what I'm going to do is, because there was no release date for Bear and Breakfast, it's getting a 7.5. I would have given it an 8, But you didn't give me a release date for Bear and Breakfast, so I've took points off of you. Wholesome Direct. I have taken points off of you for the lack of Bear and Breakfast release date. Up next on the E3 bandwagon, Ubisoft painfully delivered their conference, where I'm going to start off by saying that Ubisoft's best announcement, which was the Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline trailer featuring Aiden Pearce from Watch Dogs 1 and Wrench from Watch Dogs 2, did not even make it onto the main show. It made it onto the little countdown thing that happened before the show when there was about 10 minutes left. So Ubisoft's best announcement wasn't even on the show. Just pointing out there right now, their best announcement on the show. Ubisoft started their actual show spending half an hour, and I'm not kidding, it was genuinely half an hour of their 1 hour show talking about Rainbow Six Extraction, which it's a Rainbow Six game, but the difference is instead of fighting in 2 teams of 6, you now team up with a team of 6 to fight a horde of zombies. And that was the entire game. They spent half an hour talking about this. There was no reason to talk about it. It was basically just loads of different stuff. You were just taking on zombies, pretty much, and you had to work together because the zombies were really, really hard to beat. You had to work together to take out the zombies. I got really bored halfway through it, and I was kind of bored. And all I really got from it was, ooh, you're fighting zombies. Ooh, it's Rainbow Six, you're fighting zombies. Ooh. And they then weren't done with Rainbow Six, because they then had an announcement. Bearing in mind, we just had half an hour of Rainbow Six content for Extraction. We then got the announcement that Rainbow Six has been out for 6 years. And they also announced something called North Star, which is a new thing in Rainbow Six. They also announced that crossplay and cross-save support will be coming on June 30th. Coming to PC Stadia and Amazon Luna on June 30th. But if you're on Xbox and PlayStation 4, or Xbox and PlayStation 5, and you want crossplay and cross-save support, you will not get that until 2022. Because that is the best thing to do. They then showed off that Far Cry 6 Season Pass content, where they basically announced that if you buy the Season Pass, you will get Far Cry free. That's what I think. They then went on to show you the main villain, Anton, in Far Cry 6. Although, frankly, the trailer wasn't that long, and you didn't really know much about the villain because the trailer wasn't that long. But it was still there. They then announced that you could pre-order Far Cry 6. And then, this could have been their best reveal of the show. Unfortunately, Nintendo kind of fucked it up earlier on in the day. Because if you're not aware, this all happened on the Saturday. They then went on to announce Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which, to be honest, 90% of the world already knew was happening, because Nintendo accidentally put a link on the thing on the website, on the Nintendo Shop website, allowing you to pre-order it before Ubisoft had revealed it. But it looked really, really good. It was basically a new game in the actually quite enjoyable and quite fun Mario and Rabbids game. I really kind of enjoyed it. And the best thing to come out of that trailer was Rabbids Rosalina, who genuinely looks like the best character in any video game. Like, genuinely. And their final reveal didn't feature any gameplay. It was just Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and they just told us what's happening next year. But that was it. I think in total, I'd probably give Ubisoft a score of negative 74 out of 10 and bury it under the floor and forget about it. Up next on that E3 bandwagon was Microsoft and Bethesda, because they're best friends now and they must do the conference together legally because they're best friends. And they started off with Mr. Todd Howard releasing a trailer for their new space RPG that didn't feature any gameplay. It just featured a little trailer showing a spaceship in space to let you know it's the game about spaceships in space. They did, however, give a release date for their sci-fi RPG, and that is the 11th of November. So, good, you might think. Nope, it's 2022. There was no real gameplay for this. It was just kind of there. We didn't know much about it, but what we did know is it will be available on launch day for everyone on PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series S and X on the Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you'll get it completely free. We were then given another Bethesda game. Again, we weren't given much about it. We were given a look at another brand new Bethesda, that was Redfall, which all we really know about it is it's a vampire shooter that's set to launch next year. We weren't given much gameplay about it. We weren't given any gameplay about it. I think the closest we got to gameplay was seeing a man shoot a vampire. We were then given two separate Halo announcements from Microsoft. One announcing that the story is going to be coming out, and the story will be a paid for thing. You have to pay for the story, but if you pay for the story and you buy the disc or download the game from the Microsoft store and you've paid the £50 for it, you are only getting the story. If you want the multiplayer, you have to download a separate game, because the multiplayer is going to be free to play. You basically have to download a completely separate game because the multiplayer is a free to play thing and the story isn't. The multiplayer will also feature microtransactions because, of course, make it free, give it microtransactions, why don't you? We were then given the interestingly eerily surprise announcement of Forza Horizon 5, which, when it first came up, because when they first showed it, they just started showing like a city, like Mexico, which is where the game is set. They just started showing Mexico. And when it first came out, I thought, is this a game or a movie? But it is Forza Horizon 5. That's how realistic it looked. I thought Forza Horizon 5 was a movie. They also announced that there will be an open world battle royale mode called the Eliminator, which will be much like Forza Horizon 4's battle royale, if you've ever played that, where you basically had to race other racers in a battle royale mode, and if you bet them, you would stay in the battle royale, but the person that you lost to would be kicked out. They also announced that they are completely overhauling car customization. Basically, if you think you know what Forza car customization is, think again, because it's completely overhauled. They have also announced that this is going to be the biggest Forza Horizon map we have ever seen. It is also going to be the biggest roster of cars we have ever seen in a Forza Horizon game. We were then given the release date for the greatest game that Microsoft revealed, Psychonauts 2. And it will be arriving on the Xbox Series X, Series S, Xbox One and PC. Up next, maybe even better reveal, The Outer Worlds 2 is coming. We didn't get anything about it other than the fact they're announcing it. We don't have any full gameplay. The only trailer showed was the Outer Worlds 2 logo. But it still got me really excited because the Outer Worlds 1 is still one of my favourite games of all time, and sequel, I cannot wait. We then got the Battlefield 2042 gameplay, which was pretty much the same trailer as what E3 showed. But it looked really, really good. Like, really good. We got to see, like, characters, like, going around and using grappling hooks to get around the map, and there were zip wires, and, like, I've never really been into the Battlefield franchise because it's never done anything that's excited me. But this genuinely looked really exciting. It looked really, really good. Like, it looked really good. Stalker 2 was up next, and it will launch on April 20th, 2022. And it essentially is a game about Chernobyl. I don't know why you'd want to make a game about it, but somebody has. If you're not aware what Chernobyl is, it's that big place where the big nuclear explosion happened. It's still heavily nuclearized, and Microsoft chose to make a game on it. We then got Contraband, a brand new open world game. We didn't get much about it. We kind of just got a trailer letting us know it's an open world co-op game. That's all we really know about it so far. We also don't have a release date for it yet either. We then got A Plague Tale, and it will launch sometime in 2022. And this kind of seems very familiar to right now, to be honest. Seems a bit familiar to this year, kind of. It's a stealth game that takes place during a plague. The trailer also showed off a giant swarm of rats, which is not up my street. Diablo 2 Resurrection arrives in September. Basically, Microsoft announced that fuck it. They were like, fuck it. Let's remaster Diablo 2. Why? Because we can. They then announced that Flight Sim will be coming to the Xbox Series X on July 27th, and it's also going to be getting a free expansion for everybody on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PlayStation. PlayStation, PC, my brain's not working. PC on the very same day, based on the Top Gun franchise. To coincide with the upcoming film Top Gun Maverick. They did also then go in to announce that we'll be getting more Bethesda trailers, more Bethesda titles on the Game Pass. Fallout 3 is joining the Game Pass as of shortly after their presentation. I don't know how short it was afterward. The Evil Within was also joining, and they announced 10 other Bethesda games were all coming to the Game Pass. I can't know them all off by hand, but they announced a lot of other games are coming to the Game Pass. They also announced Hades will be launching on the Xbox One on August 13th. Back 4 Blood's got a PvP trailer showing off the PvP. Not that I was interested because I didn't really care. Doom Eternal is getting an Xbox Series X upgrade on June 29th. We were then given the announcement that a Pirates of the Caribbean collaboration is coming to Sea of Thieves on the 22nd of June. which actually sounds pretty cool. And that actually kind of makes me want to jump back into Sea of Thieves to check that out. My only complaint to that was they showed off Captain Jack Sparrow in the trailer, but they didn't have him voiced by Johnny Depp, who was voiced by I don't know who. We were then given the announcement that Fallout 76 is getting a new Steel Region update on the 7th of July, and the pit is coming next year. And when they announced this, I had the one question of, does anyone even play Fallout 76 anymore? Like, is it still alive? Like, let me know. In the comment section down below, let me know if you're still an avid Fallout 76 player, or if you're one of those that gave up after like a week. I might have done that. We then got the announcement that Party Animals will be releasing in 2022 on the Xbox. Which, if you've never seen Party Animals, it's basically a Smash Bros like game where you've got weapons and you're having like really cute animals just fighting each other. We then got the announcement of Somerville, a new creepy indie game coming in 2022. We didn't get much of it, but we got a bit of it. We then got the announcement of an indie title that will launch on August 19th, called 12 Minutes, which looked, from the trailer we got, there wasn't much, it was a vague one, but it looked really, really good. We then got the announcement that Slime Rancher 2 will be launching in 2022, which was surprising and genuinely amazing. Like, genuinely amazing. The first Slime Rancher was amazing. I love Slime Rancher, and I was so excited by that reveal. Like, it came out of nowhere, but it was so good. We then, for some reason, I have no idea why this happened here, and at the Ubisoft conference the day before, but we then got a gameplay trailer for Far Cry 6 that wasn't shown at the Ubisoft conference. We also got a release date that also wasn't shown at the Ubisoft conference, which, I don't know why Ubisoft didn't show us the release date, but they didn't. We were given a new gameplay trailer, and then they showed us a release date of the 7th of October 2021. So the Far Cry 6 release date was shown to us by Microsoft and Bethesda, and not by Ubisoft at the Ubisoft conference. We also got the gameplay trailer at the Microsoft Bethesda conference, not the Ubisoft conference, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't know why Ubisoft just didn't announce the date and stuff, but whatever. Shredders is a brand new snowboarding game set to hit in December. However, I can already tell you that it won't be the best snowboarding game ever, because SSX3 is a thing. Atomic Heart got a nice new trailer and got me actually kind of excited for it. 15-player lobbies were then announced to be coming to Among Us again, but it was also announced that it would release on Xbox on June 15th as well. Age of Empires 4 is releasing on the 28th of October. Grounded is getting a giant spider, which I will gladly pass on, because fuck spiders, I hate spiders. Doom will be getting an update on June 30th. And that was pretty much most of their show. They did at one point have Todd Howard be like coming out and saying how nice it is to be working with Xbox and Phil Spencer, and that he's wanted to do it for a while and it's so fun, and like, okay Todd, just casually saying that it's fun to work with him. But that was that. It was a pretty good show. I kind of like some stuff. 12 minutes looked pretty good. Didn't really give monkeys about Halo Infinite. Forza Horizon 5 looked really good, and I quite like the Forza franchise anyway. Starfield, I couldn't really give a prediction on that because there's nothing gameplay-wise about it. Psychonauts 2, just getting release dates for that's just wonderful, just amazing. Outer Wilds 2, seeing that announced, beautiful. Battlefield looks pretty good. The Microsoft Flight Sim thing, I quite like Flight Sim, it's kind of good to have. I also completely forgot to mention, I'm going to mention it now because I looked up all the Bethesda games that were coming to the Game Pass as well. We've got Dishonored, Doom, Evil Within, Rage, Wolfenstein 2, Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, and Fallout Tactics were all announced to be joining the Game Pass. And also the other thing to say, Slime Rancher coming out, it was a pretty good show. I'd probably give it, again, a 7.5, probably. 7.5 I'd give it. Like, it wasn't the best show, but it was still pretty good. Still pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Up next on our list of V3 conferences was Square Enix. And Square Enix started off with a Guardians of the Galaxy game. And it's a big old story game. All about Guardians of the Galaxy. Which looked pretty good. The gameplay showed off looked interesting. But I'm still concerned by it because it's Square Enix, who released Marvel Avengers, which was the worst thing ever made, and they shat that out horribly. Horribly just shat it up. However, it was announced that it will be releasing on 26th of October 2021 on PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and both series of Xbox S and X and the Xbox One. It is also a third-person game, and you also have to make decisions to determine your relationships with characters down the line. Like they showed a bit during their gameplay, which was like you had two options. You were playing as Star-Lord, and you had two options to pick from. It was either to sell Groot or to sell Rocket, which was kind of interesting. Which was really, really kind of cool. It looked really good. The only issue I got with it is Square Enix, and Square Enix has kind of not had great history in the Marvel franchise so far, have they? They then announced that we're getting Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, which is a remastering of the first 6 Final Fantasy games. And it will release on Steam, Android and iOS soon. No release date was given for it, but they announced that the first 6 Final Fantasy games are getting remasters for both PC and mobile. Legend of Mana then turned back up again after its little bit away, and announced that it will be launching on the 24th of June on Steam, PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Marvel Avengers is getting the Black Panther, which I'm kind of not really caring about. I would have cared if, it wasn't Marvel Avengers, it wasn't a horribly broken game that was never fixed. They then announced Hitman Sniper, which launches on mobile in 2021. It's not a Hitman Sniper game. However, apparently this time, you're playing with Agent 46 and not Agent 47. They then announced that Brave Exodus, the Final Fantasy game, celebrates its 5th anniversary. So from June 17th, you can get free rewards if you play that game, which I never have. They then announced Final Fantasy VI as the first soldier. Final Fantasy VII, the first soldier was announced, and it's basically a mobile battle royale set in the world of Final Fantasy. Like literally, you're just playing battle royale with Final Fantasy, and it launches in 2021 on both iOS and Android. They then announced that Life is Strange is getting a remastered collection that will appear on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam and Google Stadia, because apparently Ubisoft and Square Enix are still making games for the Google Stadia, even though most companies have abandoned it because it was a piece of shit. It will provide a visual overhaul of it. Life is Strange Remastered will feature a visual overhaul of all the existing Life is Strange games, and it will be launching on September 30th. They then showed off their best moment of the entire show. In fact, their only good moment in the entire show. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy might be good if it works, but their good moment was the gameplay trailer for Life is Strange True Colors. And it showed us a bit more on Alex's empathy powers that she now has, and it provided more content on the game's narrative. And they also did announce that Life is Strange True Colors will not be an episodic adventure, but a complete experience at launch. True Colors, Life is Strange, releases on September 10th for the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, Series S, Xbox One, PC and Google Stadia as one game. You don't have to buy like episode 1 and then maybe wait and buy episode 2, or just wait for the next episode to release. It will be all out at once as a complete game. There'll be no waiting. You won't have to wait for episodes. So if you finish episode 1 and you're like, I want to play episode 2, you can go play episode 2 right away. Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin then floated up, and it is a more action orientated spin on the Final Fantasy game like franchise. The game will feature challenging and punishing combat. No release date was given for it, but if Final Fantasy is your thing, then it's coming. The only closest thing we got was 2022. But if you have a PlayStation 5, you can get a free trial until June 24th. But only for PlayStation 5 players. PlayStation 4 players, you can sod off, no free trial for you. And that was Square Enix. There was kind of a meh show, to be honest. There wasn't really anything I was interested in. Apart from the Life is Strange stuff, I can't be interested or excited in the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Because of how broken Marvel Avengers was. So I think what I'm going to do is Life is Strange kind of bumps up a little bit score-wise. Square Enix gets a 5.2 out of 10. PC Gamer then showed up, and they started off by announcing that throughout the show, in their YouTube chat for the PC Gamer chat on the PC Gamer's YouTube channel, you could vote with either hashtag 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 to vote on some PCs for a PC game that I can't remember the name of and I've never heard of. And these PCs, I will try and edit in a photo of them so you can see them, but these PCs were some of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my entire life. They look like PC Gamer went to a bunch of 5-year-olds and were like, here you go, we want you to make PCs for a game, please draw some. And they looked horribly ugly. Like horribly ugly. Like horribly ugly. Like they just looked ugly. Like if I can remember to edit a thing in of them, I will. If I don't, just go try it. Either watch the PC Gaming Show or just Google them. I'm sure they're on Google. Like they were so horribly ugly, it was ridiculous. And like they wasn't just the fact they were ugly, they were so big as well. Like one of them looked about as big as my fucking desk, which is ridiculous. Also, they were so like stupidly shaped as well. Like if I wanted to put it next to my desk where my current PC is, it wouldn't even fit because they're all so stupidly shaped. I have to go somewhere that's nowhere near my desk. Like maybe in front of my desk, but then where my chair, they just look so stupid and so big and clunky and out of place and ugly. But they did start off with a trailer for Nakura Blade Point, which is a 60-player battle royale game. And this trailer featured a magical chainsaw. Not entirely sure what a magical chainsaw is, but they announced it will have a magical chainsaw and a grappling hook. And it is coming out on August 12th. We got the announcement of Dodgeball Academia, which is coming from Humble Games. And it will come out later this year. It is basically a dodgeball battling game where you play as a guy called Otto in a world where dodgeball is more important than basically everything in the universe. To the point where there's a whole school for it. It's basically just you do nothing but play dodgeball. They then announced Raw Man, the food-themed free-for-all arena shooter. Which is for 2 to 8 players. They then had a massive interview with the Dying Light 2 developers, which I can't remember all of. But they did announce that Dying Light 2 will be releasing on December 7th, 2021. Sounds good. They then announced they always run. And it begged the question, what would you find more scary? A mutant bounty hunter or a mutant bounty hunter with a third small arm coming out of its back? I didn't get much from this game, apart from that thing creeped me out massively. They then announced that the one exclusive game from the Google Stadia is no longer a Google Stadia exclusive, because Orcs Must Die is coming to PC on July 23rd. And also some other platforms as well. So Google Stadia's one exclusive game is dead. Vampires the Masquerade Swan Song was the next step. And it's basically, from what I saw from the trailer, what it sounded like, was it sounded a bit like Life is Strange but undead version. And it's an RPG set in Boston and there's lots of vampires. They then announced Gigabash. It is a new arena brawler that sees classic Kiju doing battle with each other. Layman's Gate announced it will be arriving on August 3rd. It is if you've never heard of it, it's a first-person shooter turn-based time loop 'em up. We've got loads of new stuff. There's also an open beta arriving next month. Next Space Rebels then turned up, which is basically saying, what if Kerbal Space Program, but literal garbage rockets? Basically, the game is Kerbal Space Program, but you make rockets out of junk, like literal junk, and then have to try and launch them into space. It looked pretty good. And it launches this autumn. We then got War Tales, a strategy RPG where you lead a small team of mercenaries on a far-reaching adventure across a hostile and unforgiving landscape. The trailer looked fine, but it just didn't look like my kind of thing, but it was there, it was fine. We then got Ixion, the new space settlement management game. Got its first trailer. And it was also announced to be releasing in 2022. And it looked pretty good. Few changing tides then floated up. And, well, if you've never heard of a game called I cannot pronounce the original, Melotronic, then you should go play it, because it was a very good game, but this was a surprising sequel to that. Surprisingly, and it did have a weird release date. It said late calendar 2021. They then announced Lakeburg Legacies, which is a medieval matchmaking game. There was no release date given for it. However, you can wishlist it on Steam. Silt was announced, which is basically a game where it's a deep sea diving game where we're floating away through all sorts of nautical horrors. By the look of things, from what I've seen in the trailer, you can also mind control piranhas, which seems interesting. Again, no release date yet, but it is available to wishlist on Steam. They then announced Gloomwood, which is certainly a thing. It's a first-person horror game. I didn't get much off of it, but it's certainly a first-person horror game that's very creepy. Doesn't have a release date, but you can, of course, wishlist it on Steam, and there's a alpha demo out on Steam to download if you want it. Solaris was then announced to be coming in 2022. It is a new third-person shooter game, which, from what I saw from the trailer, looked a bit like Sekiro. It looked a bit like Sekiro, but also a bit different. Arabora then plonked itself up to be releasing on Steam in August 2021, and it is a generated dungeon crawler where you'll be fending on a manner of plant-based necessities, which sounds kind of odd. We then got Tinykin, which I could only describe as odd and strange, where you're basically explore the inside of an acoustic guitar, which is odd. We then got another trailer for Chernobylite, which is like, why are we making games on Chernobyl? We then got Sacrifice, which is the next game for the makers of Warsaw. It is a real-time and turn-based strategy combat game. We haven't got anything about it other than that. The only thing we know about it is that you can go back it on Kickstarter. And then got Mecha Jammer, which led me to question how many cyberpunk-esque RPGs do we really need? But also it's weird, it's kind of like half 2D, the art style from what I seen in the trailer was like half 2D, half pixelated. It was very weird. There was also bows and arrows and stuff. There was no release date for it yet, but you can wishlist it on Steam. Songs of Conquest was given a brand new trailer, which was actually revealed a few years ago at the PC Game Show in E3 in like 2019, I think it was, and we heard nothing about it since. And they revealed a nice new trailer, which showed off the little bit of gameplay from the turn-based strategy Duodad game, and they didn't give any release date for it other than sometime 2022. Citizen Sleeper then floated up to be launching in 2022, which is a futuristic RPG, which what I got from the trailer was you wake up every day, do your job and go back to sleep. It's like that's basically the entire game, but then halfway through the game your body starts to die and you've got to try and fight it for your body not to die. It sounds odd, but also kind of interesting. Project Warlock then floated up. I can't remember much about it. I genuinely can't remember much about it. If I could, I'd mention it, but I can't. And they then announced the winner of their PCs, which was kind of meh, kind of there. They did also announce some tech. They announced some gloves. Yeah, gloves. And these gloves let you click your mouse a few seconds faster. I'm not kidding you. They're faster clicking gloves. Like literally. Like if you're playing a game like Fortnite or Warzone or Apex or whatever, you can now click your mouse a few seconds faster. I'm not sure how that works. Based on like clicking, I don't know if they have something in them to make them click a little bit faster. But you can now click your mouse a whole second faster. So if you ever sat there and thought to yourself, man, I'm clicking my mouse really slowly, I want to be able to click my mouse faster, you are now able to click your mouse slightly faster. I don't know if it's something I'll buy, but it's certainly there. Like, it was certainly there. I don't know if it's something I'd want, but it was certainly there. Also during the PC gaming show, they announced the same trailer that was shown during the Summer Games Fest for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Like, it was literally the same trailer. Literally the same trailer. There was literally nothing different about the trailer. Nothing different. They then announced something that I couldn't give a monkey's ass crack about, which was Hello Neighbor 2. Genuinely couldn't care about anything about Hello Neighbor 2. They also announced a new steering wheel. Which is apparently going to be a very cheap steering wheel, but a very good steering wheel. And it's actually going to, apparently, I don't know how true this is, because obviously we haven't seen it in action yet. Because they didn't show it off, they just kind of showed it to us in like a video, but didn't actually show off any games. But apparently, it's going to be a force feedback racing wheel that changes per game. So if you're playing like a big old racing game, there's going to be a lot more feedback from the wheel than there would be as if you were playing something like ETS2 or ATS. It's going to have a lot more feedback based on, or less feedback based on what game you're playing, which sounds really cool. They then wanted to announce a monitor that costs over $1,000. I don't know what that is in pounds, but it was over $1,000, which is ludicrously expensive. Like, that's just for one monitor as well. It's not like multiple. That's just one monitor for $1,000. Like, a monitor for $1,000. And that was pretty much everything the PC Gamer Show had to reveal. Overall, it was kind of a lackluster show. I wasn't really that into it. I would probably give this around about a 4.2 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing ever. Like, it wasn't as bad as what Ubisoft conjured up, but it certainly wasn't the best thing ever. But it certainly wasn't as bad as Ubisoft, so I'd probably give it a 4.2 out of 10 overall. And the final stop on the E3 2021 bandwagon was Nintendo, and they started off by announcing that Kaiju Mishimo from Tekken will be arriving in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate soon. Which left me with a question. Why are we getting characters from Tekken in Smash Bros. Before we're getting Waluigi? Like, what is this? You're giving us characters from Smash Bros? You're not going to give us you're giving us characters from Smash Bros. From other franchises before your own Nintendo. Like, what? Like, come on. Square Enix then came back, because we haven't seen enough of them recently, to announce that the Life is Strange Remaster and Life is Strange True Colors will be coming to Switch. They then also announced that Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy will be coming to Switch as a cloud version. Which, if you're not aware what cloud versions on Nintendo Switch are, they're basically games. They're the full game, but you have to stream them from their servers, which means you need a permanent online connection. So one of the things that made the Switch great was you could go anywhere and play like games anywhere. Even if you don't have internet, you can play some games anywhere. Like, you can play Animal Crossing anywhere, and you can play, like, Spyro anywhere. That game you can only ever play with your internet because you have to stream it. Worms Rumble then floated in with a release date of June 23rd, 2021, and it's basically Worms Battle Royale, which looks really, really good, actually. Really good. It's Worms Battle Royale and looks really good. Two Point Campus was then announced to be coming to the Switch, which was kind of already announced at Summer Games Fest. And then the reviews, well, they started to get quite a bit better from here on out. We got the announcement of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania Remastered Collection, which is releasing on October 5th, 2021. And it will feature Super Monkey Ball 1, Super Monkey Ball 2, and Super Monkey Ball Deluxe with HD visuals and online multiplayer. And after that, Nintendo then announced Mario Party Superstars, which will be releasing on October 29th, 2021, and they did also announce that Mario Party Superstars will have online play from day one. You won't have to wait for it. It won't be like it's Mario Party 10 business where you've got to wait for it. It will be available day one. Day one. We then got the announcement that I completely forgot to mention this during the Ubisoft conference, actually. Just Dance got revealed, but yeah, whatever. They announced it was coming to Switch as well. I completely forgot to announce that. Genuinely completely thing, but that's just kind of, I don't really care. It is literally just Dance, to be honest. we then got the announcement that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, a new power awakens, will be getting Switch versions on September 24th, 2021. Dragon Ball is genuinely the best anime ever, and that is one of the best Xbox games out there. And one of the main physical reasons I keep turning my Xbox on every day is literally just 90% of the time to play that game. But now that it's on Switch from September, well, kind of makes the Xbox One a bit useless, doesn't it? For me anyway, at least. We then got the announcement of Mario Golf Super Rush. Well, not really an announcement, they just kind of talked about it and said it's coming next week and kind of showed off the same kind of gameplay from before, but kind of just told us what some of the modes were. And then they made me just a little bit salty, did Nintendo? Because they announced that Metroid Prime 4, bearing in mind we've waited 4 years for any sort of Metroid Prime 4 announcement, because they said 4 years ago at E3 that it was real and they were making it. Nintendo announced that Metroid Prime 4 isn't dead. Great, thanks. I waited 4 years for Nintendo to tell me that Metroid Prime 4 isn't dead. Like, thank you, Nintendo. I appreciate that one. However, we then got the announcement of Metroid Dread, which is a 2D Metroid game. It is the first 2D Metroid game in over 20 years, and I'm actually really excited. It sounds really, really cool and really, really good. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is getting a November 12th release date. I've never played 1, 2, 3 or 4, so whatever. Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin was shown off, and I'm kind of excited by that one. Maybe not as much as I am with the existing Monster Hunter, but it still looks pretty good. And then the best thing ever came out. WarioWare Get It Together is a thing that is coming. And this will bring heroic filled minigames of the WarioWare franchise to the Switch. You can also pre-order it right now, and it also features online support, so you can play online with other people. Although, interestingly, we're getting this over Waluigi and Smash, but I'm still very much excited for it. Like, very, very much excited for it. It's also got co-op mode. It has there is also a 2-player co-op mode in it, which forces players to work together in tandem to complete uniquely designed microgames. The game is set to release on September 10th. Which I genuinely cannot wait to play. Doom Eternal got some Ancient Gods DLC that was available shortly after the presentation. Ubisoft then came back again, because we haven't seen enough of them recently, to announce Mario and Rabbids again. Because why not? Activision then sort of came in, of all people, to announce that on June 25th, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remastered editions of those, will be coming to Nintendo Switch. Advance Wars 1 and 2 are getting remasters called Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, and that's coming in holiday 2021. Hercule Warriors is getting an Age of Calamity is getting expansion pass on June 18th. They then went on to mention Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, which I couldn't care about because that's the worst Switch game. Like, I feel like Nintendo did their Zelda remasters the wrong way around. They put the best 3D Zelda game on the worst Nintendo console, and the worst 3D Zelda game on the best Nintendo console. They then announced that Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and the original Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the Game Boy version, will be coming on November 12th of this year to a Game & Watch Zelda edition. Which is actually quite a nice looking thing. They did that for Mario and doing it for Zelda. Game & Watches are quite nice. 3 games in one thing. And then their big reveal was the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild game, which was announced for 2022, and they showed us some gameplay which looked absolutely fucking gorgeous. Fucking gorgeous. They had ground stuff, there was flying involved in, there was lots of like floating islands, waterfalls. It looked gorgeous. If you thought Breath of the Wild 1 looked gorgeous, go look at the gameplay trailer for Breath of the Wild 2. It was the most gorgeous thing in the entirety of the human stratosphere. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely fucking gorgeous. And that was Nintendo and their conference. Genuinely overpowered everybody. Overpowered everybody else at E3. They put on the best show. Literally the best show. It wasn't the best Nintendo Direct. I think the best E3 Direct still has to go to the E3 when they revealed the Switch Pro. Or not Switch Pro, just the regular Switches. But it was still a very, very good show. It was the best show on the entirety of E3. It powered over everybody else and put on absolutely incredible show. Powered over everybody else. And that is why Nintendo gets a rating of 27.5 out of 10.